All right, 7 o'clock, Monday, February 12th, 2024. It's, we'll call to order our regular council meeting. Madam Secretary, want to take a roll?
Mark Campbell.
Here.
David Ryden. David Gensler.
Here.
John Crowe.
Here.
J.P. Tremino.
Here.
Robert Simmons.
Here. All right, we have a quorum. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, item number 2 is citizen comments. If you want to make a comment, please stand up, state your name and address. And we have 3. Anybody else have a comment sheet you want to turn in? All right, first is Lya.
Lya Swanner, 2525 LeAnn Parkway in the middle.
Please come up to the dais, please, so we can hear you better. Thank you.
2525 LeAnn Parkway. At the January 8th council meeting, I asked for a status update about the ordinance committee, and I was informed publicly that the committee had been disbanded by Mayor Gensler. At the January 12th meeting, the disbandment of the ordinance committee was discussed by council. I wanted to take this time to clarify some misinformation presented at the January 12th meeting regarding the committee. The mayor made note that we attempted twice to meet, but we couldn't get everyone together. From its inception in mid-August to its disbandment in mid-January, only those 2 attempts were made. The first attempt, we were only given 2 days' notice. He emailed that night that only 2 members showed up, so he had to cancel. I informed him that we needed more advance notice to make arrangements to be present. The second attempt, he asked for our availability in the 2 weeks following 9/11. 3 committee members responded with dates, at least 2 of the dates aligned. The mayor then responded the following day that he forgot to mention that he will be in training during those times, so no meeting was scheduled. No further attempts were made. The last meeting, the mayor made it sound like the committee members weren't available, when in reality, dedicated efforts to meet were not made by the committee leaders themselves. He also said that the people that were on the committee were asked to apply for the P&Z, as though it was our problem that we aren't still able to be involved in the ordinance review, now that there is no longer a committee. Correction, I was never asked to apply for the P&Z. I would have gladly applied and served on the P&Z if asked. And now, if everyone was asked, I would like to know why I was not. Lastly, I would like to let you know that I did not appreciate how the news of the disbandment of the committee was handled. It was apparent that I was interested and invested, as I had emailed several times and asked about the committee status at multiple meetings. The courteous thing to do would have been to give us volunteers a heads up. I hope that I was able to clarify the misleading information provided at the last meeting regarding the ordinance committee. I would like to reiterate my interest in being a part of ordinance review to assist the council and better help the town. Thank you.
Thank you. You got something to say? To clarify that, I said,
It's over.
no, I can't.
No, you can. It's over.
To clarify that, I said that I asked members of the committee if they wanted to join P&Z. I asked one person, or told one person. So that's a little misleading there.
Which part is misleading? What I said or what you said?
What you said.
You said during the meeting that you asked the ordinance committee,
Asked.
but you didn't say you asked
But
one
you said
member, you said you
Well,
asked
you're
like
saying
one,
I
you
asked
asked
more than
everyone.
one.
Yeah.
You
You don't know
asked,
how many I asked, but anyways, we're gonna go on from that. In the meeting where you had brought up about that, and when I said, you know, that we're not gonna have the committee anymore, again, like I'm telling you right now, I have the right to say that. When you bring up something in a public comment, I can respond to that. And why I did that, so you know, was I thought it was, appropriate and fair to give you that notice that night since you asked about it. Okay, we were in conversation with our city attorney, and he advised that we don't have the ordinance committee, that's the job of P&Z. P&Z should be doing it. Okay? Next is Kent Swinger.
I'm sorry. I'm kicking and stumbling. Ken Swanner, 2500 LeAnn Parkway, St. Paul. After 33 years in public service, I can say I have some expertise in this field. Public service is not about money, status, or position. It's all about serving those who need help and the citizens we serve. When offered a work position here at the town, I was excited to re-enter the public service arena. While working for the town, I relayed information to staff that the citizens were upset about the parking situation at 3990 Lakeway, and that they were going to come to City Hall for help. I did not know when or how the citizens were going to voice their concerns, but I made staff aware on many occasions. On June 12th, I informed the town secretary that the neighborhood was coming to City Hall, and they did. For the fourth time in months, I was told by staff no intentions to do anything about the parking problems on Lakeway Drive. That day, the citizens came, they voiced their concerns, they asked for help. Let me be clear, I did not start, organize, or lead a citizen effort, but I do support them and agree with the ordinance they should be followed as written. Working for this administration, who plays favorites for whom they enforce ordinances upon, made it an impossible work environment for me. You asked me to drive the town to write up ordinance violations, all while refusing to act on these same violations when placed on your own doorstep. I didn't feel comfortable continuing to work and take taxpayer money for a city not serving the community justly and fairly, so I resigned. I have been here every council meeting since, sometimes speaking, sometimes just listening, waiting for the council to react and serve the citizens. I'm still waiting. Over the past months, I've witnessed this administration give lip service to those who ask questions. I've seen the council go from hearing public comments to 3-minute speaking limits to offensive sand timers to avoid council commenting, a sign-in sheet for those wishing to speak. What's next? Getting rid of the citizens' comments altogether. These actions are not public service. I feel the citizens have been polite in their involvement despite the disrespect from this administration, such as eye rolling, power moves, and false statements. During January meetings, the disrespect towards the citizens was even more apparent. The mayor and Mr. Mayor, you took it upon yourself to cancel the ordinance committee my daughter and others volunteered for and gave their time. As what my daughter mentioned before, you misinformed the council about the difficulties of scheduling meetings. She has the emails. So it was falsely stated, claiming that volunteers were offered positions on the P&Z. This one was not. It was not across the board. You didn't have the courtesy to notify volunteers about being disbanded. Could have been done with an email. It is an honor to be a public service, and I've done it. And Mr. Mayor, helping is more than one meeting a month and a few street repairs. Disrespect, false representation to the public or to volunteers is something you can never take back. Public service is supporting and representing people. If you cannot handle a public service position, I suggest you resign. And this goes for all of the administration. Thank you.
All right, next is, just comments, Justin Graham.
Yeah, mine's gonna be short. Justin Graham, 3525 Lakeway Drive. So I just want to express that, having said all that, I think all of us still want to help out and volunteer and be a part of whatever committees specifically for me, ordinance committee. I know that vote's coming up today, so that's my position on it. Thank you.
Okay, you brought up the ordinance committee along with the other two citizens tonight. I just want to let you guys know that,
It's on our agenda.
yeah, it's on our agenda, and when we get there, you're gonna find out that the council never took a vote on that committee, so the committee really never existed by ordinance or by council's approval. And the night that I did tell you, again, I was just trying to be upfront with you, and I felt I owed you that night when you brought it up. All right, so we're gonna move on to number 3 is the approval of our minutes of the last meeting.
We'll make a motion, we approve the minutes of our special council meeting, January 12th, 2024.
No second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Is that Robert?
Yes.
Number 4 is approve expensive for the review year-to-date budget for actual 23-24.
Is this what the account we gone over?
This is the current year, 23, 24. No, this is current year.
Okay. Oh, that's, okay. Is there anything standing out that we should be looking at?
Yes, Madam Secretary, I was gonna ask the same thing. Is there anything we do need to pay special attention to?
Had to buy a vacuum cleaner.
That's under administrative costs, so.
Make a motion that we approve the expenses year-to-date budget versus actual 23-24.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, 4.2 is finalized budget versus actual 22-23.
Yes,
It is.
that is the, includes the adjustments. The CPA adjustments.
And I'll ask you, is there anything that glaringly should stand out for us to review?
No, I don't think so.
Thank you.
No, there's not anything really outstanding, we went over these numbers at the, end of July,
Yes, I do remember that.
and I believe I attached all those notes, so.
No, it all been zeroed out to close out the year. Make a motion, we approve the finalize our budget versus actual 22-23.
All in favor?
Aye.
4.3 is approval to post amended budget for 22-23.
Isn't-
That's the same budget, it's just a little post.
What was that?
It's the same budget, it's just on posting it now as needed.
So we're amending last year's budget.
Yes, that will be the official amended budget.
Yeah, so motion that we approve posting the amended budget for 22-23.
Have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Is that Robert? Sometimes you and JT sound alike.
Sorry.
4.4 is review balance of accounts. If you're ready, go ahead and make a motion.
Yeah, I'll motion that we accept the balance of accounts.
Have a second?
Second.
Go ahead.
Item number 5 is our regular agenda.
All in favor?
We didn't vote.
Was that?
I don't know if we have to vote, but yes, we didn't vote. I mean, we're just accepting it, but let's go.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Item number 5 is a regular agenda. Discuss, consider act on ordinance 269-24-02-12 calling May 4th, 2024 general election.
Mr. Mayor, I understand that, there may be some question as far as, elections in the city. And the requirement is that we actually do discuss, consider, and act, and post an ordinance calling our election, and, every year. And if it is unopposed by law, we have to cancel the election.
Correct.
That was an
By
amendment.
state law.
And that was an amendment to the state law, I guess, what, 3 years ago?
Yes,
2021.
2021.
So it's not an option anymore.
No.
Correct.
And that's what we do every year.
But right now, we're calling it. This is for calling it.
This is for Collin.
Correct. And so, as required, we are calling the election,
And that's,
and it will take place.
and an ordinance is required to call every year, and there is one for every year.
So as you stated, there has been an election.
Absolutely.
Called every year
Every
for
year.
the last 14 years.
Did this ordinance get placed in the newspaper? Does it have to be
No.
On the website,
on the website?
the code of ordinances.
It's on our elections page. I post it on our elections page once it's popular.
So if you're ready, I'd like to motion.
Yep.
Yeah, I'd like to motion that we approve ordinance 269-24-02-12.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
5.2 is discuss, consider act on approval of joint election services contract with Collin County Elections Administrator and participating subdivisions for May 4th, 2024 joint election.
This is simply to contract with the county to run the elections for us. And it is something that we pay them for, rather we run an election. And this is the contract that
Yes.
we have to approve for that. And, basically, cost of services, we've got a minimum cost of $3,500 to conduct a joint election with the Collin County Elections Department. And then there are other things that take place, obviously, if it's a contested election, then we have an election, we pay the county, and we move forward. Is there any,
Can I add to that if it is an unopposed race and it's canceled, our cost is $75 as opposed to probably what will be upward of 7,000 or more.
correct?
And the other thing, I guess to point out, maybe you said this, but this keeps us from having to come up with our own machines to put in all the different locations and to man ourselves. So it behooves us to partner with the county, as most cities do.
And there's a lot of resources with the county for
Right.
questioning.
Records
Got
keeping
it.
for 22 months.
Right.
And I'd like to motion that we approve the joint election services contract as stated here in section 5.2.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Yeah.
Aye.
5.3, discuss, consider act on changing the day and time of regular scheduled council meetings, for purposes to compliance documents and town secretary on premise. Huh?
Town attorney.
Town, correction, and town attorney on premises for when necessary for legal consultation and discussion.
Currently, the second Monday of the month, our town attorney is not available, so we are discussing bringing up a new date that he would be available as needed. That's correct?
Right.
That
And
is
I-
correct.
And that's to point out that not necessarily that he has to be here for every meeting.
Correct.
It's so that when we do want him here for important decisions or guidance, then
Which we
we
need.
would be able to
Yeah.
do that.
Absolutely.
And a lot of towns, I mean, I've, been paying attention to this stuff for quite a while. A lot of towns have their attorney with them when they're meeting.
Every meeting.
Every
Right.
meeting, yeah, Wiley does, Garland does,
Joseph
Dallas
does.
does, I mean, so on and on and on. So I think it makes sense to do that, right? They do have staff, it's true, but he's kind of an extension of our staff. The other thing it's important to understand is that by the state law, the reason that they have a differentiation between a regular meeting and a special meeting is so that we can have special meetings, and we can call them when we need to, as long as we have the 72-hour advance on it. But the regular meeting is so that the citizens know that there's a regular time that we meet, and you can tell by the way the municipal code was written, that they wanted to make sure that citizens had a regular time that they could come and they could count on us meeting. But it doesn't prevent us from having a special meeting, and a special meeting is really no different than a regular meeting, except that it requires plurality, I think, or a super majority, if you will.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's a 2/3 majority of people have to be in attendance. And again, that's along the same lines, is they wanna make sure there's no shenanigans going on. You can't, get something through with the simple majority of people there. You have to have a larger set of folks there to be able to see, meaning on our board, to be able to make sure that there's people there to watch what's happening. And so I think there's a lot of wisdom in what the state came up with regards to special meetings and regular meetings, and that's the reason you have a regular meeting. Even in this day and age of internet and all that kind of stuff, it's good to have that cadence that we can always count on it being a certain time of day, and a certain day of the week, and a certain week of the month. It also doesn't prevent us from having regular meetings more than once a month, but I don't know that we're looking at doing that at this time, but you could do that. So just something to throw out there, things that I've learned over the years.
Yeah, but also special meetings can and should be an extension of your regular meetings.
Right.
And on the other hand, workshops, team building, whatever, is not considered a meeting that has to be followed by the public, nor does it have to follow the rules of regular meetings or
I mean,
special.
if you have a quorum there, then you do have to
Yeah.
post, you have to post.
You have
the
to
fact-
post 72 hours
Right.
before, but it is not
Right.
follow the rules of a special meeting.
I mean.
We can discuss whatever we wish to discuss. We do not have to have a format in a workshop.
If you have a quorum there, you have to have an agenda, and you have to take notes.
Mhm.
Absolutely.
What I read in the
There's
state
no
statute.
differentiation between a regular meeting and
And a
a
workshop.
workshop. And there's, the workshop, the word workshop will not show up in the state muni code anywhere. That's something that's something that TML came up with, and it's in TML's handbooks and stuff, but it's really a special meeting.
Okay.
And this is actually why I've asked that it be placed on the agenda, is because there's questions.
Right.
I want the attorney to answer them. You know, you can Google all these laws all day long
And get different answers.
and get different answers, absolutely. Google cannot tell you what the law is.
Yeah, but if you go to the source, which is what I recommend you do, don't Google it. Go to the state of Texas website
Right.
and go to the actual muni code. You can tell, hopefully you can tell if you're there, if not, you know, we can figure that out.
Was it in January, they dumped another 600
They
laws?
did, but I'm very confident that if you look in there, cause it has a search facility in there to look for keywords within their document.
Right.
And I looked for it because at one time we were doing what you described, where the workshop was kind of more open, and really, there is no such thing in the eyes of Municode as a workshop. It's just a special meeting. So as long as you don't have a quorum and you don't talk about items for the city, then you're fine. But if you're talking about items for the city, you really, you know, we need to be on the up
I
and
guess
up.
that's the definition needs to be set for workshop. Workshop is more to educate and help members.
Yeah, like a training thing maybe?
Yeah,
Yeah, even then, I've
the
seen.
terminology
I would
tends
still
to be-
post it, just to be safe, I'd still try to post it.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah,
Not gonna hurt.
right.
Okay,
And just say it's a general training session about whatever the training is.
very good.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anything else on that?
Was there another, well, what, Monday, another day that we were looking
What
at?
days are we looking at?
Well, I
I
can do
know-
Thursday night, and I can do Friday during the day. But
So
I
what-
can't really do a lot of other times.
What makes the attorney unavailable
If he already has.
Joseph.
He's in another city that night.
every night?
Yeah, for the last
Oh,
20 years.
every.
He's unavailable on
Second.
Monday nights.
This is the night that we currently have,
Right.
Is it every Monday night he's
Yeah,
out?
pretty much.
Okay.
and he's contracted, you know, as an extension of our,
And that's not to say
Body.
Is
that
it him and his firm, or is it just him?
him, but he is our town attorney. So, the day, of course, there could always be conflict
Yeah.
with him on that, but again, if he knows he can set that aside for us,
Right, why don't we have him say, here are my available dates, and then we can come back to this and,
well, that's
Well,
we
Thursday.
have done that.
That's
We're
why
talking
Thursday
about
shows.
Thursday.
so it's Thursday.
So,
And my request would be either the first or the second Thursday, but because that it will space between other meetings that we have later in the month. But, the first Thursday gives us time often to consider documents. For some reason, documents always come in at the end of the week of the week following the Tuesday that we have a meeting, and it sometimes makes it short for getting them signed, getting them turned around to where they need, because once we sign them, we have to go back to our attorney, then we have to get them back, and we have to get them back to the party that they're due. So if there's the first or the second Thursday is an option, I can double check with him and make sure that that does coincide with his availability.
second Thursday's gonna be a problem for 4th of July. I'm sorry, the first Thursday.
Yeah, that-
But we have that issue now,
on the-
we're having that issue
we,
now.
yeah, we have a contingency for federal holidays.
Yeah, it just
in our ordinances.
shifts to the
Next day.
next
Yeah.
day, which would
Well,
be a
that-
Friday, but
Is it the next day? or-
Next working day.
Next working
So it'd be
day.
Monday,
Would be,
Yeah.
because you're not open on Friday.
so, we do the
But-
second Thursday.
that's fine. I'll just.
Well,
we
4th of
just-
July moves around, so if you're doing this for the 4th of July, I wouldn't worry about it.
Yeah.
4th of July is always on the 4th, so it's not always
You're
on
doing
Thursday.
it for any federal holiday.
Yeah, that's, yeah.
Right now, we
Couldn't
have
move
several
around.
federal holidays
Yeah.
that fall on the Monday, second Monday anyway,
Yeah.
so.
It's true.
You wanna make a motion, and state your motion.
So it's what, so you're asking for the first week,
I'll make it work either way if I've got documents that I
but
have to
it's
sign.
better for the first week?
Do the first.
It's either or, but like I said, if there's something that goes on, I can
Well,
I
Yeah,
can
so-
make it work.
So keep in mind, that that means it could be the first day of the month sometimes.
Could be.
Right.
Yeah.
So just making sure you're aware of that when you're asking for it.
We don't have any end of the month deadline type thing, so I don't, unless you've got, everyone else has work issues or something with end of the month. I know I used to have a job where end of the month was a big thing, so.
My logic is, or I guess what logic is, we want to, I get you wanna have him here in the event that we need to have the attorney here, but we want to change what has been set in stone for how long now?
From what I can see, the last resolution setting the date was done in 2019. I attached that.
Moved it up by 30 minutes, cause it was at 7:30 every night.
Was that the reason for it? I
Yeah,
don't
we moved
know.
it up 30 minutes.
Yep.
That's the other thing, is the time. Is 7 o'clock appropriate for the,
Yes.
cause most council meetings,
For me,
other
it
places
is.
start. at
Unfortunately for me, it is.
Yeah,
And
sorry.
I have
You
to
guys
agree
can
with that.
discuss and come up
Yeah.
with what you
On
want.
Friday during the day, I can do anytime, because I'm off on
No,
Fridays.
Fridays during the day I cannot.
Okay,
Yeah,
alright,
that'd be a problem for a lot of people, I think.
yeah, I think
So
so.
Thursday evening would be fine, whether it's first, second. I mean, we all know our availabilities. If anybody has an opposition to that, nobody's bringing it up.
Not everybody's here to be
Yeah,
able to
Mr.
oppose.
Jones is-
David is not here, unfortunately. Do we need his input?
So,
To pass something, no, we don't need his vote, but if you're trying to,
Consider each and every
Sure.
one of the members, we should.
Then,
And I recommend we table this until we have a complete or full dais and discuss it then.
I'll second.
all in favor?
is there a preference on the date, or we'll discuss that again?
We'll discuss that when all are present.
But it does look like Thursday,
Thursday.
It'll be Thursday.
either the first or second Thursday of the month. At 7 is the current on the table preference.
Five four, discuss, consider act on resting the subject of Citizen Ordinance Review Committee.
Okay, Mr. Mayor, I requested that this be placed on the agenda, because as it's been spoken about, a lot of people were aware of what kind of was going on. Although I was also kind of taken aback at the cancellation of it. My concern was a little different, because I didn't know that we had created it. And so, going back through and doing some checking, we did not create an ordinance committee, an ordinance review committee. We discussed it.
It was suggested.
It was suggested.
But it was never voted on.
Never voted on, so it
Doesn't
didn't exist.
exist.
so I was the one who suggested it. And then it was told to me by one of the other councilmen that we didn't need to vote on it, actually as an entire panel. So we moved forward with it, with agreements with the mayor spearheading the entire thing. So, he who is spearheading it cancels it. I mean, so,
I mean, I suppose so. In the past, I guess, I don't know where it states that we have to vote on it, but.
right, cause
I'm
it was you
welcome-
who told me.
I'm welcome to be pointed to that documentation that says that we have to vote on committees. No, I'm not aware of that. In the past, we've had committees that have naturally occurred, and we didn't even really worry about attendance, you know, if some people showed up, then great, if not, then whoever was there moved forward with whatever we could get done. And certainly it is a good idea for us to have citizens involved in doing things, and even if they don't end up producing the end product, if they can get us, you know, input to what the citizens would like to see, I think that's the wisest thing to do. So maybe what ends up, you know, coming out of such a committee would be just, you know, here are the 10 care-abouts that we would like to have addressed. We're not lawyers, you know, we're not code experts, but we would like for whoever the lawyers and the code experts are to look at these, say, 10 items or 5 items or whatever it might be. That seemed to have some wisdom behind it, but yeah, I'm not aware of anywhere where it states we have to vote on setting up committees or tearing them down for that matter.
And the whole reason I'm for it is because if P and Z's supposed to be doing it, right? If P and Z is supposed to be doing it, or it's suggested by our attorney that we have P and Z do it, it hasn't been done, and hasn't been done for how long? So why not get somebody who's willing to put forth the effort, who are volunteers, just like P and Z, to be able to bring it to the volunteers, like P and Z, to be able to bring it to council so we can have something going forward.
Well,
This is also, go ahead.
just along the lines you're talking, we are 5 councilmen at large. Technically, if a citizen comes to us and brings a question or a subject up, we are the representatives to bring up in committee an ordinance change, is that not correct? Or am I mistaken in this?
That would be,
That's my understanding.
Yeah.
You know, being aldermen or councilmen at large, that is our voluntary responsibility. And if the citizens wish to contact us and talk with us, we can bring that up. Is that not a valid point?
Yeah,
yes, it is.
Okay.
we can even propose changes, I think, toot my own horn or anything, but I think I'm the last one that changed the ordinance. I don't think there's anybody else that's changed the code of ordinances since
Okay.
me. So, and I did it on my own accord because the sign ordinance was way out of date, and it was causing us to see just a bunch of variance requests. And so we came up with a way to make it more amiable to the growth of the
Okay.
town, but also not have skyscraper type signs all over the place. So I enjoyed doing it. To Ken's point, you know, being a volunteer and helping out with the town was important to me at that time. I wouldn't mind helping on it now, but it is time consuming because you have to do a lot of research. to
It's
make sure-
very time consuming.
Yeah,
and
we
a lot of
did,
research.
we did have the town attorney look at it before we put it up for a vote, and, you know, he made sure that it was on the up and up, so, you know, that's the process I went through. I did take, you know, input from citizens when I did it, but it wasn't a committee per se, because there wasn't a whole lot of interest, it was just, I took it upon myself to do it. But yeah, you're right, I mean, we can propose changes, and then from there, you know, send them to, the town attorney to make sure that they're correct.
And I
that
think
they're
we're in a
proper.
time where we do need to start, as council, looking at ordinances and updating them. It's, you know, routinely, we should be doing that anyways, I feel personally. But, again, back to the committee issue, we have a committee, we can form, if we have to, 2 people and make committees. And whether the citizens are involved, citizens can come to any of us, being councilmen at large. You don't have a specific
Right.
council person that you have to address.
Right, so there's no negative repercussions to having a committee.
Actually, in my opinion, there is, because we've got a dozen people in the city right now that are working in different parameters, okay? Whether it's city councilman or, planning and zoning, we're working with an attorney, we've got engineers that we're working with, and it doesn't make sense for city council to be working with planning and zoning, or trying to move in one direction, and we've got another direction that we're pulling the engineers. We need to have, everyone needs to be focused on moving in.
No, yes, it can be
Direction.
counterproductive, because a committee can be thinking something different than the council people. And things, particularly those of us who've been in the military, know that anything done in committee, A, takes forever, B, usually fails.
So, but,
So-
you know, to respond or to retort, one might contest, citizens might contest that nothing has happened.
And the fact that they say that does what?
So,
But you have, but you have volunteers, so if you're saying it's counterproductive, but nothing has happened up till this point, why not give it a shot?
So,
A
okay,
fair
like
shot.
Robert said, he wrote the sign ordinance.
I mean, I did it because I wanted to get things moving.
And it was a great ordinance.
Yeah.
Thank you. At one point in time, I proposed a new,
And how much effort
Parking
was that,
ordinance.
Robert?
Yeah.
It was a lot of effort, wasn't it?
It was a decent amount of effort, yeah.
How much effort did you do?
it was a lot of
It was a
effort.
lot of effort, but if it was a team effort, it'd be a lot less weight on your shoulders. Still has to go through the right legal process.
Yes, and that's why the team would be planning and zoning, because that's part of their job duties.
Okay, how many?
Per the attorney.
Okay.
And also, P and Z per state law needs to meet X amount of times a year.
Which we
There's
talked
sometimes
on
that, there's
months
sometimes.
ago when we still hadn't had that done up until
You're right.
we finally addressed it again. We readdressed it again, and I don't, they haven't met yet, but hopefully.
Who hasn't met yet?
P and Z, since then, right, there's not a scheduled date, but it's in the coming, right, it's in the works, it's on the calendar.
Yes.
But this was passed months ago, so again, moving forward, why not have somebody who's willing to put forth the effort when on an unpaid position, like we all are, to just help the team, which helps the town.
Why, again, and my question is, why wouldn't you put that then out to all the citizens to come to you with?
We can post it.
Because I don't think it's fair that you just narrow down to a few citizens that have a few ideas. The other thing was at our January special meeting, our attorney pointed out there are laws, general law things that
Right,
the
but
general public
ultimately, it's
doesn't.
it's us
No.
that are still saying yea or nay, and we still run it through the attorney, and then we still come back and say yea or nay.
And the weight and the responsibility lay on
So again,
these
so the
five
reason
members right here.
right, so the reason we selected him is no different than the way P and Z has been created before, has been created, same way council has been created. This is just another outlet. Sure, let's make a posting, if that's what it takes to say, let's move forward to not have us spin our wheels and over and over and over. Let's get traction. Let's at least have somebody starting the fire, because to me, and I speak for myself, I think the fire's being put out, it's out. So.
Well, that's why we brought it up to discuss right now.
Well, and also.
Well,
is why-
this says that we want to discuss, consider, act on resting the subject. I want to move forward with it,
Okay,
and I still
okay,
hold
that's
that.
fine,
Yeah.
so we wouldn't rest it then.
Right. No, I
Well,
know.
but I'm saying
If there's a
that needs to be
valid
put
reason.
out there by you
Right.
and voted upon amongst.
Right, well, I mean, this was the place, right, well,
Well,
again, that was the whole thing, is we don't need.
I don't think we need to vote on it. I think we just need to decide that we're gonna do it, we're gonna meet on these days, and that we expect to have a list of priorities. I think that's the biggest value that the systems could give us, is a list of priorities that they would like to see in the ordinance, and they can get specific if they would like. And then from there, we can take that to people who do this for a living and make sure that it is, it's in line with the state laws, and that it's meeting the needs of the town from a legal point of view. But getting that input, I think, is important. And if they wanna reach out, with a website or with, walking the streets to talk to people about it, they certainly can do that too. There's nothing wrong with that,
Yeah, I like that effort, let's put it on the website, say, hey, if you're interested, send an email. I hate to say send an email, cause then it takes up a resource. But show up to the next meeting.
We're in the process of assigning some new email addresses. I can get one just for those comments or something.
If it wants to be bucketed to all of us, we can all have an alias for it.
It could even go to that committee though. That committee
Yeah.
could look at the bucket of emails and say, hey,
So-
these are things we need to
So-
see. We hadn't thought about X, Y,
Question on
Z,
committee,
right?
should you not put out the same thing you would like for planning and zoning? We put out the call for volunteers for planning and zoning.
Absolutely.
I think that
Right,
it is, if the committee's gonna be created the same way you did when you put out the call for planning and zoning meetings, and you get applications, and then
Yes,
but you need to
there's still a vetting process, and
You need to predispose.
like I said before, I feel like these people should be sworn in, and the reason that they should be sworn in is so they can, they have to act in the better interest of the town or city, and that ensures that, right? Cause if not, then.
Okay, so let's say we have a committee, we only have 2 people, apply for it. Should we set
I'll
parameters?
spearhead it this time, that'll be three. If we only get 2, then that'll be a third. So, and it's only to say, hey, there's gotta be somebody there's gotta be a liaison. Whether that we engage P and Z, it's just a liaison. So ultimately, that entire thought process still has to go through P and Z.
But to your point already, you've made that P and Z will be meeting sooner or more often. And that is their purpose. Are you not being redundant here?
Right.
And the redundancy,
Somewhat, yeah.
doesn't it cause confusion? You have officials already in a committee, if you wanna call it a committee, they're in a planning and zoning commission.
Right,
You yourself have said that's their job.
and it hasn't been done.
It has.
It's that they're, I'm not sure that I'm on board with that being their job. Is it their
According to
job?
Laura,
It's
I
only
believe
their
it
job
was
for
a
items
planning
that,
thing.
it probably is for some of the items that,
For anything,
I get
yeah,
that.
for anything for planning
Right.
and zoning.
But not for every single.
Not for
ordinance.
everything,
Right,
yes,
'cause
that's correct.
That's what he stated
Okay.
last meeting, that it
As long
was.
as that's out there, because it's not
Yeah,
everything.
now there's other things that do need to be brought but they need to be brought, I feel, to the council. We are council at large. So.
So somebody's gotta bring that idea and.
Yeah,
just-
and like you said, I'll spearhead it, you're making yourself council of one. Is that
Well,
not?
we still have to.
Not
approve it.
count, right, so I'm an elected official, right, so
And you
there's
spearhead
no
and take all
difference.
comments?
I still act on the best interest of the town, whether it benefits me or not, so
Okay.
that's
Well,
why
we
I'm
can
sworn in.
still not, we don't have to approve it. just
Yeah,
because
we
you
don't
came
have
up
to
with
agree with it, I understand that.
Yeah.
I'm just devil's advocate, I'm throwing everything at you, JT.
Right.
No, I know,
But
and
also-
it doesn't have to be me, it could be.
No, I
both. It
understand.
could be an email bucket that says, hey, one of us responds to it.
Well, I would say though, it's better for it to be two or less of us, so you don't have to worry about quorums.
Oh, yeah, it has to be 2 or less.
And that works really well, I think. We've done other things like that, I can't, they're not coming to mind right away.
Then also you said, you know, time.
My
So now-
concern in,
Hold on, let me finish this real quick, please. You had also said time, and now we have a committee, the committee suggests this, who they can suggest it to another committee, that committee then brings it to us. So now you're adding even more time, like you just said.
Well, see, by that point,
Earlier.
once it gets to us, it should be almost fully vetted.
But it takes a time for a committee to come and discuss all
Yeah,
that.
That
let's
they're
count
already-
that up.
What's
One
that?
meeting of a committee, if it goes to P and Z, that's a month later.
But those are volunteer
If it
committees.
comes to us, that's a month later. I mean, you're talking 3 months.
So let's get started now.
And no, it's no different than what we do now, that's, unfortunately, it's government, right?
Yeah, well, let's start now.
It does not move quickly.
Yeah, I hear you. I'm
But
one
the
of the most
more
frustrated
layers you
about
put
that.
on it, the more you're going to push things out, more dissatisfied the citizens are going to become.
Right, well, right now, see, okay, so let's just say, take the committee out of the picture. Okay, so what currently exists is P and Z
Mhm.
and council. So
Mhm.
P and Z would present these to council, and then we would move forward and say, okay, attorney vet it, make sure it's clear, come back, and then vote on that
And that's why
ordinance.
P and Z meets at a different time than we do, so that we can accomplish it within 1 month or 2 at the most.
Right. Why isn't that being done now?
Because we're sitting here discussing it.
But why did we need to have this discussion? Why wasn't it already being done?
You're being rhetorical, I take it.
Yeah.
it's okay, you've come from P and Z, we get it.
Mhm.
Okay, so you've got a real good view of what's
Well, I
happening
was
in
on
P and Z.
also.
You were in P and Z, yes. And guys, that is exactly why I wanted this whole thing brought up and put to bed, basically, is we empower our P and Z to do to do that. And at the same time, we're discussing things with the community. I'm for smaller government. I don't want another committee. I don't want another group out there that's trying to figure out what's going on.
Somebody's gotta do something, cause it ain't
And so at
us.
this point, it's really about coming up with a straw man so we can get started.
Yeah.
Because P and Z hasn't come up with it. Did we tell them? I don't know, we told them to do it or not, but they haven't created anything to start with. And one of the hardest things to do
They
is
haven't
start.
had the opportunity yet.
So we've got to get started with something. If a committee of any kind, at this point, if it's just 2 council people, or if it's citizens without council people, or whatever, can bring something to us to get a strong man started so that we can build upon that and get that fleshed out, I think that needs to happen as soon as possible.
So let's say you wanted to, as a citizen, wanted to reach out to P and Z and say, hey, you know what, I have a suggestion for an ordinance. You would email your P and Z, right, cause you have no other way to get a hold of P and Z. Go find me an email address for anybody that's
I
on P
think
and Z.
you
Actually,
need to go
I'd
to
send it
the
to the
secretary
city.
for that.
I sent it to the city person.
Okay, that's you, right, but they come here and, I'm just saying, that's just one outlet. Not
And if the
everybody
city
can
didn't
go.
help me, then I'd shoot off something to the city councilman.
Yeah.
To the mayor, I'd be hitting them
Right.
up.
Yeah, or might show up to a P and Z meeting and now there's other limitations involved. I'm just trying to bridge that gap, right? So there's building capacity limitations. You've got a 41 person occupancy, is that right? I think
Correct.
41, okay, so we got 41. What happens is the 42nd person that comes in wants to come in and say, hey, I've got a suggestion for an ordinance.
We can't let them in under fire code.
Okay, well, can I go online and let me just peruse online and find an email address.
If we have 42 people show up, then that'll be great. And we'll have 2 committees or whatever the heck. I would say that, again, like I said before, if the citizens want to get together and have their own committee and present something to us, you certainly can do that. You don't have to have anybody on the council to be on that committee to make it happen. And, you know, maybe it will or will not get looked at, fine. I would recommend that you come up with a priority list of things you'd like to see and the reasons behind why you'd like to see them. And that's really what would help us get this started so we can get it finished sooner.
And that was the suggestion at our January 12th meeting from Rob. Rob said, start with the what, go with the why,
Yeah.
and then you get it to the proper person.
Get it to P&Z and then they
Well,
can get
I mean,
going,
you
right?
get it to the proper,
January 12th meeting?
like,
Those meeting today?
if it's more of an engineering, okay, zoning,
Those meeting today.
okay.
Today's February.
You've got zoning maybe for
Hello.
a citizen possibly,
Okay.
but you've got the subdivision ordinance. That's gonna deal with engineering type things. That's not generally
That's something.
for anybody.
That goes to LBL. I mean, we'd have to find a way to direct it.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
What, why, and who? I mean,
And all that.
who's gonna have say over it? Who's not, you know, or not say, but, input? Because not everybody is qualified to have that input.
Okay.
I mean,
Let's just not, let's not trip over ourselves, let's just get something started.
We-
You know, the worst thing we can do is make a mistake, and big deal, we fix it. We
Well,
fix
the
the mistake.
request was to discuss, act, and put to rest, so.
Well, I don't
What
want to put it
are
to
we
rest.
going to do about?
I think that we need to, like JT, I think we need to let it flourish. I think we need to have more involvement. If we do fill this place up, great.
So what is your motion on it?
There's no motion, we don't need a motion.
We do.
You know,
We do.
no, we do not have to have a motion. I do not agree that we have to have a motion and pass to have any kind of committee.
No.
Well, I had it put
item.
on here that,
Well, I'm not voting to arrest it, so you can have a vote if you want to, but I'm not gonna arrest it.
Think you're gonna table it?
I'm not tabling anything. Y'all can vote if you want to. I'm gonna vote against resting it if you wanna get rid of it, because I don't think we should. I think we need to have more citizen involvement. I think we need to get them to be involved so they can help get us more bench strength, so we can have more people on P&Z and more people potentially running for council. That's fine. We need to do that.
okay, well, I understand, your viewpoint on it, and absolutely want more people involved in everything that's going on. However, I think it needs to be from an educated viewpoint, knowing exactly what we're doing, what the city's doing, and not just people deciding that they want certain things to happen, and pushing them from
But
that.
that's,
that viewpoint.
I think you're lost in the woods a little bit there, but
Maybe.
that's your opinion, that's fine. I think that any one of these people that are wanting to be on this committee could do as good a job, if not better than us. You know, I didn't know jack about towns when I got in here. Now I do now, you know, and part of the reason I've changed my opinion on term limits over the years and stuff like that is because it takes a long time to figure out how this monkey works, because it's not a business and it's not like running your house.
Right.
Towns and the ways that the laws are written, some of them were written right after the Civil War and they're still in the books that run towns and how towns work.
Some were written
It's
last week.
very, that's right, some were last week and some were back in 1876. And it is difficult to be able to understand how to run it when you try to run it like a business, because I've seen a lot of people come on the board and try to run it like a business. It's very difficult if you try to run it like your house, because there's a lot of laws that prevent you from doing that. But if we can get citizen involvement, I think that's really important. I think it's a really good idea to do that, and always remember that they're the ones that we're doing this for, and that we need to listen to their input. Again, I think that's the biggest thing we could get out of some kind of committee is a prioritized list of input of the what and why. I think that's very valuable.
Okay.
Is the email option not an option? Have an email
That's
address,
fine.
citizens can
Yeah.
send in what they want
We
to
can
see,
do
that
by
can go to our
Any
P&Z.
forum we want to, Twitter or X or whatever they call whatever. I don't care what forum you do it in, as long as we get the data we want from them.
A way for, you're saying we have to have a way for people to get their interest to the city, for us to learn about it.
Any way you want to. We can have it in forums with people
We could have
personally here. We can
committee,
do.
we could have
could use-
emails, we could
Yeah,
have all
an
kinds
email.
of things.
It comes in through
Yeah.
a set source,
Who's gonna go
no
through those
social
emails?
media,
The
none
committee.
of that.
Right, so I mean, who's gonna go through these
The
emails?
committee should go through the emails. That's a great idea. then they can help us with the priority of what's the best stuff they prioritize.
Okay,
Wait, who goes through the emails?
The committee,
Who is the committee?
P and Z.
let's, whoever wants to be a
P
committee.
and Z should be your committee. Take the information in from your.
Whoever has the will to go do it, and it sounds like we had people that were willing to do it.
That's not the correct answer.
It is.
a committee is to
We just have
advise.
to agree to disagree, because I think that an average person can do this kind of thing. That's why we have people that are on, I was just asked to go serve on what do you call it, a trial, board, what do you call it?
Yeah.
A jury. I mean, they take anybody for a jury, because people can do this stuff. It's possible for them to help.
That's how I started.
Okay, well, here's a question for you. What do we do about current things on the books?
We can have a committee go through that if we want.
So we just
Or we
turn
can
it
do
back
it-
over to the city, y'all
Correct. That's
figure
right.
out what y'all wanna do.
That's right.
And come back and tell us.
Bing, you got it.
Well, that
Okay,
makes a lot of
Mayor.
It
sense.
does. That's how this thing's made. That's what democracy's about. Is you get people involved and they help.
Mayor.
Doesn't mean that we're just gonna rubber stamp whatever they give us, and it doesn't mean we're not gonna run it through the proper channels. We still have those backstops.
But
We-
it's how it gets, my concern is gonna be how that information gets to you and in what form. I mean, there's gotta be some kind of organization for how that information comes in and who it goes to next and.
Well, there's an email service out there, someone that's just blasting stuff all over the city with information about what's going on at City Hall that doesn't have a clue what's going on at City Hall. Perhaps we should have them run the citizen committee. Would that work for you?
I think that would work fine. I'm not scared of this stuff. I guess it
I'm not
probably
either.
comes from the fact that I'm not a military background. I come from a software engineering background. And in software, you do have self-forming teams often that get together because they're interested in some technology. They go off, they work it, they bring it back to the bosses say, that'll work, that won't, and we move forward. So I'm not scared of doing this kind of thing. It doesn't bother me. And it doesn't bother me if it's self-formed. It doesn't bother me if they have different ways of being able to communicate, as long as we're within the bounds of the
What if we're
rules for
not-
open meetings. That's
What if
the
we're
only-
not dealing with
The
true
The open-
information?
The open meetings is the only thing I'm concerned about.
See, that's.
Because that's not the only thing, that's the main thing I'm worried about, because open meetings have to be followed. I'm gonna keep talking,
Go
so
right
open
ahead.
meetings have to be followed, so I'm very concerned about that. Other than following the rules for open meetings and any other rules that we have to follow because of municipal code, I think that we should let the citizens be involved. I think that's very wise, it's a very healthy
Absolutely.
town when we have citizens involved. They self-form and they self-solve problems about how to communicate or how to take in information from other people outside of their committee. That is a very wise thing to do.
Power numbers.
Freedom of information, I believe in it completely, but freedom is not free, and information's not free. When we have someone that comes into this office every week with Freedom of Information Acts requesting information that require us to go through and pull information,
Well,
it costs the
we're off
city
topic.
money.
We're off topic.
No, we're not.
Okay, well, then we should be answering those Freedom of Information Acts, regardless of whether or not the bill's been passed or not, or the ordinance has been passed.
Gentlemen, can I?
Mark had something to say.
I just wanted to know how to make positive emotion on this, to be honest with you. I know we can't make negative motions. But I'm going to, make a motion. We have discussed this and act on resting the subject Citizen Ordinance Review Committee. I'm going to say, let's, rest the Citizen Ordinance Review Committee. That is my motion.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
All in favor?
Nays?
Nay.
Nay.
So you're tied. This
Yeah,
mayor,
mayor
the
doesn't
mayor
get a
gets to
vote.
break, no, he breaks the tie.
Yeah, I get a vote. That's not because I've got a missing.
That's the one time I didn't get a vote, I'm sorry, okay.
May I say something?
Please.
I've lived through this ordinance, I've watched ordinances, I don't even know what I'm about to say. All I know is it's terribly frustrating. When there's ordinances, it looks like they've been changed over the years. There's things, there was ordinance changes in 17, there were things taken out now that make them difficult or ineffective. We've had different people involved and looking at them, and the ordinances have to be addressed, and they have to be addressed, in my opinion, professionally. I'm not trying to, I don't, y'all will do what you want to. I'm just saying, we've made different attempts to look at the ordinances. Looks like other people have made attempts to go through the ordinances. I know that Franklin or whoever have looked at them over the years, but there's holes in them, there appears to be problems with them when you try to apply them. Some of them work, some of them don't. They don't necessarily work with how the city works today. They may have worked with how the city worked 20 years ago. That's the frustrating part, is just everybody wants to have their hand in this, and if that's, the town should be able to express what they want to see happen. I think the whole town needs to be able to express. If one person can, or 3 people on a committee can, then the whole town needs to be able to put in their 2 cents worth. Whether, that gets funneled in through an email, however that works. And then that go to a designated group who then gets it to the correct professional to get it done. Again, this will be y'all's decision, but I think by spreading it out and giving anyone in the town the opportunity to express what's on their mind with regard to ordinances, what they see, what they'd like to see. That way you get a broader perspective. You don't get any one person's agenda or perspective or opinion or drive to see something happen. If you wanna put it back to the town, give it to the town to do it. Let everybody comment on it and then put it to P&Z where it should go. And then you can come up with the what and the why, because you can see where the interest lies. I mean, I know it's like a survey almost, maybe, ask for it to come into some kind of form. I don't know, I've just seen this. I saw this before this administration, I've seen it during this administration, and I've seen this administration try to do something. And, I know we have a code enforcement officer who also can weigh in because he sees all of these things and he knows how to apply them. He's brought up ideas before this administration that didn't get done, and I could go on and on and on, but I'm going to make it short. Give all the citizens the opportunity to contribute to it, and then funnel it back through the P&Z, since they're gonna be making those decisions. That's my opinion. I think you're fixing to get way too many people involved, and I don't think you're gonna make any more progress than's been made over the years.
Hey, Mayor, can I say something?
Yes, sir.
Well, if we've got all these, I'm speaking to you since you're about to make a decision, right? So, it's a retort to the information presented. So we've got Franklin as a professional service. Why haven't we empowered them, right? We've had time to do this. I'm just addressing Franklin. What's another professional service that we use? Bureau Veritas, BV?
For inspection.
Okay, well, I guess
We
they
can't-
do code stuff. So, where are we at with that, right? So, I'm not, all I'm saying is that if it's a service that's been, that is available, and we obviously have a deficit, we need to be, if we're thinking or considering of tabling this entire idea, then why haven't we solicited these companies?
Franklin
What
is,
and why?
we would write an ordinance and we would give it to them to publish.
Right, and then we've got code enforcement who drives right now, we can get them involved.
Correct.
Why haven't they already been involved? And that's a paid for service,
Yes.
right?
They-
So we've got an employee out there who's not bringing it to the town.
He is, he's offered.
And so if he is and he's offered, then I haven't seen this.
What?
Has
What?
anybody seen
See,
this?
it sounds like maybe you need to have a steering committee, help steer it.
Right, so,
in line.
I mean, and when it comes to, you know, before, during this current administration, prior administration, have we all looked in the mirror? Who's the prior administration? Who?
Depends on how far you're going back.
How far does the problem exist?
1986.
I'm hearing 12, 14 years, so.
I mean, we're all up here, we're all cordial, and we're up here for the town's best interest. At some point, we can't be pointing, let's do this, let's do that, this, that, and the other. Someone has to be accountable. Look, I've just joined in August, I'm saying I'm accountable. I would hope that I'm not the only one at the front line. We all need to be held accountable. And if this is another outlet, if this is an outlet to say, to allow the citizens to be able to be vocal, let the committee be that voice for the ordinance suggestions. Let them funnel it. We can easily put in a record keeping system. Anytime an email comes in, there's records. You cannot destroy emails, right? You can try. So if there's ever any negative intention, there's a checks and balances system in place. We can always do that. All I'm saying is consider it strongly. I mean, all we're doing is just spinning our wheels. This at least gives us a push. And I know it's a lot to undertake, right? I mean, believe me, when I came in and saw this book, short novel that we have of paperwork, you know, I know it's part of doing business, right? And it's only going to be like this for the next coming months. But if we streamline this alleviates a lot of this weight. This gets them involved. It just gives an outlet. That's all I'm saying. So, and I don't want to put any more work on the current administration when it comes to LeAnn and to Roz, because they already, I mean, we're pulling teeth already with them. An email bucket, it seems simple to me.
One of the issues that I heard, and again, not negative on the committee, just saying one of the issues, if there's going to be a committee, they need to think about is the committee takes that information, they don't, you pass on just what the interest is. The prior committees got bogged down. Mark was on prior committees got bogged down because somebody wanted to rewrite.
It was a personal agenda to rewrite the ordinance.
You don't rewrite it. You put what you think the issues are. It goes to the person who is knowledgeable in that arena, and they look at it. And then it goes to the next step, whether that's legal or, again, there's a lot more to it than it sounds. But it's not going to be the committee's job to rewrite the ordinances.
No, and it shouldn't. It should at least just be there to do the legwork, to be able to present a full thought or an idea, the good, the bad, the ugly, to P and Z, to let them disseminate whether they want to bring it forth to council or not. So, you know, we can determine.
But the committee then determines what goes to P and Z, and that's not right. Everything
No,
should be.
that's what I said. I can
It's
do.
a point of order. Can we move forward with the
I hate
vote?
to call rules of
Yeah,
order, yes,
let's
Rob.
move forward. We
Yeah.
have a vote on the
So-
table. We're waiting on the mayor to vote. We need to move on.
So we can lay out the workflow later. I can establish, I'll volunteer to lay out the workflow. That's what I'm saying. I mean, don't let it be fall at the wayside because we have a lack there, a resource of thereof, so.
Great points by all four of you. LeAnn also, great points. my experience as a councilman and mayor, this has, this specific type of committee has been tried, I think, 3 times.
Wow.
And it's failed every time. Am I correct on that, Robert?
I don't remember.
At least twice.
Yeah.
Before.
I don't know that that's, okay, go ahead, you're making your point.
And I just don't see how we can make it work out. If it's failed before. At least twice.
Your current administration?
Yeah, one is under the current administration. Yep.
Prior
Well,
administration?
again, how are we gonna go current, previous administration from the mayor?
Look, I get it, I'm current.
You know what I mean?
All y'all are previous.
Okay, so then I would be.
Yeah,
Robert and
the
I would be-
administration is not the board. The board, we do not,
Yeah.
unfortunately, we don't. We're only here once a month, so yes, the answer to that is no, we're not the administration. If it is, it's the, I guess it's the mayor and the town secretary, and you can even argue that, yes,
Yeah.
that's what I would say. I don't know what it matters, though. Let's just move forward like we've talked about before,
Yeah.
so let's just go.
Yeah, so, I mean, if you're going on the mayor side of it, yes, it's failed with other mayors. It's failed with other city secretaries. Man, it's great points, but, I'm gonna say that,
Give me an opportunity to fail.
what's that?
Give me an opportunity to fail.
I don't think I'm ready to do that, because it's already failed. And,
We're violating rules of order.
what's that?
We're violating rules of order
And,
by continuing to discuss this.
and my position is to rest it.
Thank you.
That's it.
So it's a yay vote.
I'm voting yea.
Okay.
5.5 is discuss, consider action on upgrading janitorial services on grounds, trash maintenance.
So they're underrunning their budget, so we should be able to do this, I would think, right?
So,
Is this a new company asking?
no, this is the same people both in our janitorial service for a number of years.
Okay.
He's always cleaned, I think when I got here, they were cleaning for like $80 a month. They went up to $99 at some point. Now he's going up to $125, which is once a month. That's reasonable. One of the things that I asked him if he would be interested in, because we do need to address the trash on the grounds. As Parker's gotten busier and busier, there's more and more trash, and then the traffic behind town hall. We get a lot of trash back there. There's just not time during the day for me to run around and pick up trash. I mean, it could be an everyday job, but, he's offering, or he's giving us a line item list there where we could pick and choose what we need to do.
Okay.
But twice a month, he would come by and pick up the grounds for trash.
Oh, okay.
And then, we've got another, we're having more trouble with keeping windows clean with, I'm gonna assume maybe the dust from the construction, I'm not real sure. We wouldn't have to do that monthly, but, at least the cost would be $75 anytime we wanted to have the windows clean. So that's doors, and, you know, the outside doors, he does inside anyway, but outside doors, windows, that sort of thing. So, we wanted to go to a total monthly, we got $300 total monthly.
How often does he actually come in?
He comes in once a month
Oh, it is.
to clean, I mean, that's
So
all.
he does all the vacuum and.
So this would be
Yeah.
twice a month and
No,
as
the
needed?
cleaning inside would be once a month, if usually it's not. you know.
So we're underrunning that budget right now by about 19%. So it should be fine to be able to press it
Yeah.
forward. If you need to, and if you need to amend the budget, then just bring that to us. But I think this is within your purview to do.
I just wanna make sure that,
What is-
to me, the outside, the grounds is the thing I'm concerned about. There, you wouldn't believe the things that you find out
Right.
there.
Tires, hay bales.
When does our contract with them expire?
It isn't, he's on a month to month,
It's on a month-to-month contract.
on an as needed, yeah.
What's the current contract look like?
There is no contract, he's just month to month, he
Oh.
just comes in,
What are the, I guess, current cost?
$99 a month.
Going up to 125, so he's going up 20%.
No.
I mean,
Should
you know,
cover
he
the
went
difference.
from 80 to,
Yeah.
I think we're good. I think you can move forward unless
That's
there's.
up to you to do.
And that sounds like everybody on the dais is good with that.
Yeah, I mean, if you need to, if you're starting to overrun the budget, you need to amend the budget, then we can do that.
I don't see why we would have. to
I think
do
we
that.
budgeted,
Probably not.
I think we budgeted $99, you know,
Yeah.
but we can address that when we.
As long as you're
I mean-
in budget, your choice, your
It'll be
decision.
a
Share.
All right, 5.6, discuss, consider act on increasing code enforcement.
Is this mine?
yes.
Okay, so yeah, I wanted to, I think it was brought to my attention to bring this up and, in the past, we've used courtesy letters, I think they've been effective, perhaps they're not as effective anymore, and maybe they're not as effective with some owners, and so I think we need to be cognizant of that. You know, we need to have maybe a standardized number of courtesy letters, or, amount of time that we allow to elapse to where we do move to fines, understanding that we don't currently have a court, doesn't mean we can't, let them know that that's on the horizon. So, just starting to get an idea of how we're gonna handle this, so that we're not caught off guard once we have a court on how we're gonna start doing this, because we still have the code enforcement officer still has some, judgment on how to handle some of these cases. And so, if we wanna start thinking about how we're gonna guide that as we move into holding court again, is we have had court before, but,
We've had
That's-
that court, but have we had
yeah,
anything go to court?
right. So we need to mature on that, right? And that's why I wanted to bring this up, even though I know we're a little bit ahead of schedule, because we don't have the person there at this moment, but it's coming soon, right?
Yeah.
So let's just put that on the table, or something. I don't know if we need to act on it per se, we don't have like an ordinance or anything tonight to pass, but we certainly need to be cognizant of situations where we have owners that are just blowing right past any kind of warning signs that we're giving them with courtesy letters.
And unfortunately, it's been that way for a while also.
Yeah, there's habitual offenders, maybe they're not even, maybe it's just a yearly thing where they're using us as a monitor system for a rental property that they have, or something like that, or cases where they give us the same excuse on a seasonal basis of why things aren't taken care of for trash or for high weeds or whatever the case may be.
So the question would be, do you want to double the?
I'm not looking to double or triple anything, I'm asking for us to
no, I'm
figure out
talking
like a
about
cadence.
his ability or driving through the town or increasing so that we're sending out letters more frequently or his visits more frequent.
I'm not really asking for that per se, I'm asking for us to have kind of a standard number of courtesy, like when I lived in Garland had they let you know in the courtesy letter that we're giving you this courtesy that your trees are over I think it was the alleyway for the trash trucks to get through. And you have 60, I think it went even 60 days, I think it was 45 days or something like that to get those cleaned up, and they're gonna do another run through in that 45-day period. And if I was still in violation, that this would be your fine. They let us know in that letter what the fine was gonna be. So something along those lines to where we're not as lenient as we've been, and now that we're gonna have a way to be able to enforce this better, is all I'm looking for. I don't think we need to increase his, frequency or anything like
Okay.
that.
Often is it good? Good
Every
question.
2 weeks, Oh, well, he goes every week to the different
parts.
But if you wanted to
I think we
increase
need to
it.
increase code enforcement.
Yeah.
I mean.
I'm not against it per se, I'm really trying to address situations where we're not using our ability to fine because we don't know how to handle that. And trying to kind of get ahead of, again, how are we going to, because I think we should still do courtesy letters. You know, I think most towns want to have a good relationship with the owners of the property, and so having the courtesy letter system is a very nice thing to do, instead of just coming right out at the very beginning and finding them some crazy number, depending on what the fee is for the violation. So I think that courtesy letter, maybe multiple are okay, but something along that lines I described about Garland would be nice. So just something to think about really, and start going in that direction to get the ball rolling.
I think the letters get sent out, I think it's just a lack thereof of follow-up, right, or being able to catch it on time.
Yeah, and if he's coming once a week right now, or, you know, one half the city this week, one half the next week, so it's every 2 weeks that he's getting, that's.
How many of those
That's
do we
just not
have?
enough.
What?
Code violators that, yeah, I know that it's a certain number, it's not the whole city, we've got our regulars.
So it depends,
I was,
so I will say this,
I'm saying that's different, but.
most of the issues are,
Don't we have a list back here?
yes.
Yeah, we normally.
Yeah, it's right
Yeah.
there.
So, I'm looking at 3, 4, 5. You know, they don't respond at all.
5 habitual offenders.
Yeah, that don't respond at all. You can pretty much count for them to
But
be.
that's because the
continued to
town
be.
has set a precedence before.
Right.
Yeah, we never-
Following up,
Yes.
and that stuff not having the court.
Yeah.
I mean, there are some that you can reach out to. I mean, I literally mail it. I have an email address for some. I email, and there's nothing. And,
Yeah, I don't wanna be sending a bunch of certified letters to a garbage can that nothing's gonna happen on, you know? And of course, that's why we've talked about the municipal court. And, hopefully being able to have it up and moving by June. What can we do in the meantime?
Send out letters.
You need to look into
You don't know?
state law on that, because state law does dictate that we do have to contact the property owner,
Yes.
whether it be in person or by certified
Even
mail.
if it does go to trash. Yeah.
Oh,
Right.
it can even by,
But
be
what
by
are
a
we
sign
doing after
posted
it
in
just
their
goes
yard.
into the trash?
It can even be by a sign posted in their yard according to state law.
Correct.
So, I mean,
That it's in
It just has to be
violation of
served
ordinance.
notice.
yeah, there's a
In
certain
person.
procedure, but yes. If you wish, you can put it on a stake and stake it in their front yard.
Yep.
Hey, you're in violation, and that's legal,
Yes, it is.
so.
Sorry, didn't mean to cut you off. It's hard listening to people. at the same
And
time.
how can we move that forward?
The notices or finding?
Fine. Doing something about it.
I'm not advocating we start fining now. I think that we do need the court in place.
I mean, we just
I'm
keep
trying
throwing
to
letters
advocate
out,
that we be
and they
nice.
throw 'em back.
That's our job. I mean, to be blunt, that's our job. We should be nice to people and give them letters. If it goes in their trash can, that's their job. So if they didn't read the mail, that's their
Yes.
problem.
Yeah.
But we need to be able to send it to them, and we need to be, I think we should be nice and still send courtesy
Yes,
letters.
and you have habitual.
Now, but I don't think
offenders.
we should send infinitely number
Oh,
of
no.
courtesy letters. We need to have some, that's what I'm asking for, is do we do 2, 3, do we do 1 like Garland does and say you got 45 days and
Yeah,
the next letter will be a fine, period? You know, I think it's something like that. We need to come up with that system and
And
just
that's a-
trying to get the ball rolling on that discussion so that by when June comes, we're ready.
Yeah, Garland gives you, like you said, 45 days, you do not do it, you are fined,
Right.
whether you respond
Well,
or
then,
not.
but that's not a courtesy letter. A courtesy letter would be, please pick up this by this date.
Oh, no,
And
they,
then you go out on that date, it's not done, then you send out a warning notice.
Yeah, I don't, maybe maybe it's a
Garland
different
doesn't
name.
send out warnings.
But they gave me time to fix it before I got fined, and I didn't get fined, so.
At least when I lived there, it was,
That is,
here's your courtesy letter and here's your fine.
Right.
So,
but again, right now, we need to establish a court.
yes,
Cause what would happen in that case was, let's say, okay, courtesy notice went out, then
Yeah.
gave them a violation notice, goes out a third time, it's still there, what are we gonna do? Write a final, well, you know, letter, what, you don't want it that.
I don't mind giving them a fine at the end.
So
well,
then,
again,
Yeah.
our fines are.
Yeah, we have to.
Yeah, it's
Then
getting ready for June, I
you
mean,
know, the high grass season's right around the corner.
Right.
then we'd write a court citation,
Yeah,
and that's where we need our court set up. Then it would be up to the judge to levy the fines.
so I guess what I'm saying is let's standardize on what that's gonna be, maybe not in this meeting, but it'd be nice if we could come up with some kind of, do we do 1, 2, 3, 45 days, something like that?
I plan-
Something that's reasonable for the person to be able to act, so that we're not just slapping them with a fine right away, but also something that's stern enough that where we're actually taking action and we're getting some people to respond instead of rolling over.
And we'll have,
We can do that tonight. 'cause
we'll have a half a
we can
dozen
act
people
on
on the
it. It's
line
there.
come June,
Agenda.
ready to go to court.
And it might be that bringing Travis, cause I've talked to Travis a number of times, having Travis come in and talk this through on what's the best approach. Like, he sees this, you know, I know you see it.
I mean,
But
we've
he
gotta make
sees,
it right. Oh, sorry,
but he sees how this works best, probably in a number of areas. You know, he's code enforcement in smaller areas too. So, he may have some ideas
Why
on
wouldn't-
what's best for them.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like you have experience with that, you've got experience, and you've got experience with that,
I know how to mow a yard.
well, you have
You
experience
know how to
with it.
find someone for mowing their yard?
With fines, what is typically, I don't wanna ask you about that question.
You gotta have a warrant
How-
to mow it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh.
that's what it's,
Can't
you
do it.
just, everybody thinks you can just go on somebody's property and mow it and then slap a lien on it, but that's
How
not
would
the
you
way it
handle
works.
What's that?
How would you handle that in a professional manner?
In our town here, it's small enough where I wouldn't not do a courtesy notice.
Right.
I would do a courtesy notice here, and then send out if it's abated, great. If it's not, send out a violation notice and give them X amount of days, and then
And
after
then,
that, what do you guys wanna do? You
What
wanna-
is reasonable, you know, okay, 30 days, you got 30 days courtesy, and then you got 45 days violation? Does that sound reasonable? Is that what,
Say that again?
so we send out a courtesy, and we give 30 days?
No.
no, 15.
For a regular
Trash.
ordinance, trash, 3, I give them 7 days.
Okay, so do we want it, well, what, we only patrol the town, what, once every 2 weeks?
And that's where we need to increase.
So I think, right, so here's what I'm suggesting, I think we need to act on both of these things, and then if we need suggestion from our, hired help, then we can have, or our town employee, then we can reach out to him to amend, but I think we could.
According to discussion, Travis is willing to do, or increase twice, right? Then why are we discussing this? He's already agreed to.
Well,
So 7 days and then we fine them after 7 days, is that what you're saying?
No, 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 no.
Oh, okay, I must have misheard.
No, they have
We can
7
do a
days to
courtesy notice,
comply.
7 days, and then if they don't do it, give them another 7 days. That gives them 2 weeks.
Not 2 weeks. So what's the second letter? Or is there another
This is a
letter?
notice violation.
Notice of violation.
And the third letter is
You can word
notice
it how
of
you
abatement.
want.
Third letter is vacant, okay.
That's when you go in and do it, and you say, hey, by the way, you're gonna be charged for us doing it.
I have,
Well, how are we gonna do it? Then we have to have a contract, we have to have both on with.
Yes, we do have to have
And then
that.
we have to have
what
the
we're
lien,
discussing, yeah.
lien put
Yeah.
on the property.
and then and the bigger factor of putting a lien on a property is you don't get it back until that person decides to either probably move or
Sell their house.
clear their
That's
title,
That's
because
fine.
It's
it'll
fine.
just sit there
The
and.
town's gonna be here.
But with that,
But
also,
that's using the town's money for.
but also with that is there's fines and fees.
Associated with
that.
that, yeah. It's not.
It just compounds, right?
Yes,
Is it
10%,
Yes.
is it annum?
Yeah, we're not in the mowing business.
My only concern is, it seems like 2 weeks isn't long enough. I mean, I would like to give people.
For high grass.
Right.
For high grass,
So
I
are we
mean,
gonna
2
whittle
weeks,
it down
I've
to
got
each one of them? Or, I
four-
don't know.
So do we want to
Hey, but
categorize,
also state law says if it's over
48 inches.
so we
48
can
inches,
categorize later,
it's immediately take it out.
we can categorize later.
Yeah, you don't have to send a letter out if it's over 48
You can abate
inches.
it.
You abate it immediately.
Okay, well, that's grass. I mean, there's a lot of other ones, right? So, it
Well,
sounds-
that's an example.
right,
That's a very easy example.
right. There's some other ones that are harder to address.
So we do wanna increase our code enforcement.
Yes, and
I'm making a motion.
was like, so we
We're
can discuss
increasing it
it.
to-
Are you making a motion?
I'm making a motion that we increase our code enforcement.
Well, that, I mean, that wasn't what I asked for. What I asked for was just to figure out how, and maybe it was, I don't, but I'm concerned about, I'm mainly concerned about how we're going to, one, be nice to the citizens, I'll just repeat myself, be nice to citizens and give them time to be able to fix any violations, and then two, be able to have enough teeth behind it on a regular basis, regardless of who it is, I don't care how long they've been there, or how buddy they are. If it's been that time, that amount of time, then they get a fine.
So what would you like to propose?
Or at least they have to come toward the board, I guess.
Then are you proposing a system, right?
Well, you'd write them a ticket.
Okay,
Just, if you were speeding, you get a ticket.
Okay.
That's the same,
okay.
same deal.
I've never made it to that point, because I've always fixed my stuff. But yeah, that's what I'd like
You
to
never
see.
got a speeding ticket.
I'm talking about with the grass, violating grass issues.
Okay, instead of, the motion or the item is increasing code enforcement, but you would like to include procedural measures, correct?
Yeah, that's what I was looking for, is because I think we already
Okay, what
have
are
enough
the-
facilities in place to be able to do what we need to do. I'm
Do
just
you have
asking that
procedural
instead of
measures
this.
in mind?
Yeah, let's figure out how much, what's the cadence and what is the time? And again, we may not be able to solve it here, I would like for us to, but what is the cadence and what is the time of letters for courtesy and for fines?
So what do you propose? What do you
That's
suggest?
what
I think
What is
45
your
days
proposal?
should be
45
the
days.
max.
Max, that's
Amount of
till,
time that we give them to fix whatever the issue is.
45 days till abatement,
I suppose so.
okay?
I'm not
So
an
you
expert
go-
on these terms.
Okay, so you go out there, the guy, hey,
45 days to get fined.
Yes.
so you go
So
out there.
that would be abatement, the
So,
city takes on the
courtesy
cost
of
and
7
we
days?
charge them.
So you got, right, so you got 45 days to fine, you know, so,
Back it up 15 days to violation notice. Back that up 7 days to courtesy letter.
Okay.
So, okay, play devil's advocate here with this one. Citizen calls in and said, my neighbor has high grass. The code guy goes out there and he says, yeah, you got high grass. Gives him a courtesy notice. I'm good with that.
7 days.
Goes back out there,
7 days
2 weeks later,
goes back out there on or after the 8th day.
8 days.
It's still in violation. He gives another notice of 7 days.
That should be a ticket.
Now the neighbor's getting mad and saying there's snakes and rats coming out of my
I'm
property.
fine
because
with
now
this,
it's twice
handling
as
this on a
high.
case-by-case basis. I'm pretty sure there's gonna be some items that we find people for they can't fix in 7 days.
No, when
Well,
you
but
said
we
something
can't
like
go
So
that,
that's why
you
there should
can't
be a
do case by case.
categorization,
Right.
that's what I like, so I think that we should tier stuff out, right? If it's seasonal items, then I think you can tier that or bucket into a categorization. And then,
But you
I don't know what the I mean, I know what our ordinances are, but, I mean,
There's professionals that can figure this out for
yeah,
us.
surely it's already been handled before, it's not reinvent the wheel.
I think.
Well, yeah, I think the only thing is,
Yes.
if you have a ordinance that says X, you gotta go by X for everybody.
For everybody,
Other
that's correct.
than if you have ag land. If you have ag
Well,
land, you're the
according
same.
to state law, ag land goes
But
on.
ag land has to be,
It has to be registered as ag land.
yes,
Yes.
it has to be registered and
Used
currently
as.
used as ag land.
Right.
So you can have an ag.
Permit, but if you don't use it as
If
ag.
you don't use it,
yeah.
yeah, you don't.
So I'm not looking for us to be more draconian, but I am looking for us to
1745?
be effective. So it's a balance of being able
No,
to.
45 days is the entire summer, so I
Yeah.
can basically let my grass.
Again, I'm not necessarily talking
grow
about
the entire
grass,
summer.
but I am concerned about other things that are much harder to fix than you can fix in 7 days. And I'm
Oh,
sure that
oh,
you
you
can look
I
at.
see what you're saying now, okay, we were just kinda, I was stuck on
Yeah.
high grass.
No,
kinda
I'm not
thing.
just talking about
Oh, yeah.
grass.
If you have trash, you have trash cans, if you have high grass, you know, substandard structure, that can all be changed. Substandard structure takes 30 days
Yeah.
minimum,
Okay,
so.
so it needs to be categorized.
So there are
Yes.
structures.
I
So
see what you're saying now.
so that was the
That makes
categorization,
sense.
so what did you say, substandard?
If you have a substandard structure, it'd be 30 days. By state law, junk motor vehicles, you gotta give them 30 days.
So,
The experts know.
right, that's why I was trying to say, get your opinion on the matter without putting your professional.
So maybe the action out of this is to have another meeting with Travis and with anybody else who's an expert and figure out, and put them on a task to be able to get this categorized to where we have a standard way that we handle this.
I agree.
Does that sound?
Why don't we
okay?
just task him to say, hey, give us these dates?
Okay, that's fine too. Let's
Yeah.
do that.
Then we
Out of
can,
this.
Then all we gotta do is just.
So that's the action, is we're tasking Travis, and I guess he can bill us for this service, to give us a list, standoff days of how, how often we send the letters, how long the letters are.
He can give us a standardization of
Yeah.
all the violations
Right.
and how much it would be to issue.
An SOP?
Yeah. Now you're getting back to your.
yeah, but we would also have to adopt those everywhere codes, just so you know.
That's fine.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And appropriate codes.
Let's
not
do that.
just The general code.
Is that
maybe
does-
every code.
sounds like an idea.
Yeah, cause again, my main concern was that we'll get to June and we'll still be tripping over ourselves, so that's why I wanted to get this started and get this moving, so we can start having
Yeah, we
some
want
teeth
the
on it.
judge to have plenty of work to do on June first.
So let's ask Travis if he can have that ready before our special meeting. And have
That's a
the-
week, I don't know if that,
Does-
give him enough time,
So
but I
are we
will check.
tabling the agenda then, the agenda item?
No, this agenda item was to act, and I think the act is to ask Travis
Move
to do
forward.
this.
Yes,
All right, then let's motion.
but have his ideas to us at the special.
Right.
Bureau Veritas have anything to do
So-
with this?
No.
Increase,
No, they don't do
we're
code
moving
enforcement.
forward with
Well,
increasing
I
code
was thinking
enforcement
inspection.
and tasking
Just trying
Travis to
get
do
him
something.
motion.
So do I need to, do you want a motion?
I'm not looking to increase his code.
Why not? I mean, if, so,
I
right,
think we've got plenty of that. I think we
once
just
every
have-
2 weeks?
Yeah,
I think we need more,
okay.
personally.
I think we just need to have teeth behind what he's doing.
I mean, I could put up
And
a
I
fence
agree
in,
with that too.
2 days,
Okay.
required, it's a permit, well, not here, but.
Tom, I'm not gonna have to come mow your yard again this year?
Okay.
Okay.
So we good with that now?
Okay.
There's really nothing to
John,
vote on.
did you not motion on this?
Yeah, I made a motion that we do get to work, increasing our code enforcement.
I'll second that motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
I don't know what that means.
The agenda item itself,
The agenda item is passes, we are
Yeah.
moving forward on this.
we will discuss everything else that you have put down.
Okay, well, that was a very general motion.
Very specific, actually.
Could mean a lot of things.
So,
What's your vote?
I'm not voting.
give me your,
You abstaining?
I'm abstaining.
No.
I don't know what that means.
okay.
Can we go back and
Let's
clarify?
go back and
I would
clarify
rather
the
clarify
motion.
now, so we can, so there's no interpretation.
John, will you
anywhere else.
clarify your motion?
There's 2 things that should be done, right, so it'd be code enforcement, right, so, right, do you want to, increase code enforcement is the
Hey,
first
go ahead
thing?
and make a motion. You go ahead and make a
Okay.
motion.
All right, I make the motion that we increase code enforcement, okay?
Make a motion that we reopen it.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Okay.
just, so to be clear, I'm not looking to increase the amount of time that we spend with Travis.
Okay.
I
Well,
mean,
that's
to
what
be-
I'm thinking.
To be honest with you, I haven't seen Travis in a meeting in a long time.
I make the
So I'm
motion.
not sure that I wanna increase money going to Travis,
So.
but I am interested in us figuring out a
Hold on, let me
procedure and a
reopen- let me
policy.
reopen it. So I make a motion, we can reopen 5.6 so we can discuss, consider an act on increasing code enforcement.
Have a second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, unanimous. Okay, so it says discuss, consider, act on increasing code enforcement. To me, when you say increasing code enforcement,
Which is not what I wrote. It's not what I asked for.
okay.
So what did
My
you
email that I
understand that.
sent was very specific about, I wanted to find out how we are going to start adopting fines while also still using courtesy calls. I didn't write these words.
Okay, but to me, as it's put out on the agenda, increasing is increasing the hours our code
And
enforcement.
increasing could be a lot of
officers
different
work for the
things. It could be increasing the number of letters, it could be increasing
But
the
I agree
judge,
with you.
the judge that we have, it could be increasing the clerks that we have, it could be increasing, there's a lot of things that increasing the code enforcement.
town. And that's why we need, that's where I'm getting at, is we need to define what you mean by increasing.
I think
Can
I've
take
been
a
very
step-
clear.
Can I take it a step?
I'll say it again.
No.
I want to make sure that we know that we are still using courtesy calls, because I think we need to be nice to our citizens. I also want us to be able to be effective and be able to fine when people have blown past those courtesy calls. I think I've said that about 3 or 4 times.
You have.
You have.
But there were still some questions up here, that's why we reopened it.
And I don't think we need to take a motion on it, we've already taken action to get Travis to write up what it's gonna be.
And
At
that's
that
why we
point, we can-
reopened it.
At
So we
that
can
point-
take that
Discussion.
action.
We don't have to vote on that, though, that's just an action for Travis.
Okay, no, I understand what you're saying, but
Or where that gives him a task, but let's just say, hey, we're moving forward with him, and we can work out the details later, we've already said that this is what you're gonna do
Okay.
in an official capacity.
Okay, we're not passing an ordinance or anything, we don't have to motion on every single one of these items.
you're right.
So I wanted to take it back a second, so this is not what you sent, discuss,
No.
consider, act, and
And I'm sorry, that was me trying to,
interpret.
well, I'm pushing
Move
in
fast.
last minute
Yeah,
stuff, and like I said, I got all these things at the last minute, I'm trying to push
I
it.
mean, it's the general vein of what I was talking about, so.
There's a reason that we've got discuss, consider, and act,
And act, yes.
and act on each of these
You
items.
don't have to
But
act.
we don't have to act.
That's the problem. You yourself have sat there and said, we go over this and we keep spinning our wheels. You have to act. At some point, you have to quit
We don't have
saying,
to- we
we're
don't have to
gonna
act as
quit
a
talking
board.
about this, and we're going to act, and we're gonna move this
So
forward.
the action from this is Travis is gonna bring us something to the special meeting. So we've taken an action. We don't have to vote on every single thing. We don't have to have a motion and an aye and a yay and a nay and all that stuff. We can move forward. The action is Travis is gonna bring us something to the special meeting that we can actually pass. I guess we're gonna have to pass an ordinance on this because of the way that we're gonna handle the letters.
I guess because the letters would include fines or potential fines.
Wait, because
Yeah, they
because
would say
you
that.
said that you want Travis here,
I don't think-
that creates an act.
You got the video, we can go back and see. I don't think I said I wanted here.
Yes,
But
you did.
Well, I think that came out of the general discussion that we had.
Yeah, that came up.
Okay.
You
Well,
agreed
this-
to it,
I agree.
you know.
It's a good action to take, since we need to act, I guess.
Yeah,
Non-action is also an action.
That's why I said.
exactly. And so, in my opinion, if we don't vote on it and act, then there's
Nothing
no
will happen.
reason for
Well, you can have
for
a vote if you
LeAnn or
want to.
anyone
I'll
else to
still
be
vote.
doing anything. You don't have to vote. It's okay.
What, I mean, I don't understand why we have to have this regimented every time. We don't have to.
We don't, you are right. We
Okay,
don't
let's
have
move
to.
on.
Okay, but we do have to put discuss, consider, act in there. In case there is an action.
So I'm going to go
Does that
to
make
Travis
sense?
and get a list of category standardized information to create an SOP.
5.7, discuss, consider, act on new contract with general code.
Now, general code used to be Franklin's, correct?
Correct. So, we had a discussion about what the town engaged in initially with Franklin. When they redid the codes and looking back at the contract that we had, when I looked at it, it was basically void, completely void. They changed to Franklin, it didn't cover the things, but Robert looked at it with me, it didn't cover the things that he thought initially that they had planned on, or that they had agreed on. It was short, it was short, pretty much all the services except for the electronic updates, if I remember correctly. So I asked Franklin to, or now General Code, asked Mr. Franklin to give us something new. This will only address, again, the update of the E360 with our codes that are going to affect the ordinances. That's all that this is gonna do. The amount hasn't changed, that's $1,195 a year, and that has not changed. To keep our website, keep the connection through our website.
And Madam Secretary, may I ask, when it says posting of new legislation, is that what we give to them, or will they actually
Yeah, that's
research?
our legislation. Yeah.
So, like, we had once thought that if there was a change in general legislation in the state, they would update it for us. That is not the case.
He is giving us a proposal to.
We have to give them the legislation, please include this, correct?
When they're talking about the legislation, my understanding is our legislation, what we've passed as an
I
ordinance.
believe it was when state legislation came down with changes.
That was the
Which-
original Franklin agreement.
That
Yes.
was,
So that
that
was
was.
one of the
not-
options, I don't know if we actually signed
And
that
that was
option.
null and void, as LeAnn
No,
said.
no. The agreement that Robert told us in a previous meeting, he was under the impression, and you can tell me if I'm misquoting this at all, that there were other services that Franklin was supposed to be doing for us, and that was what you had understood, but.
I knew they did it for us the one time. I guess the impression I was under is that we were buying that for iterations after
Every
that.
time.
Yeah, and not that they would automatically make the changes, but that they would alert us to the changes that needed to be made. We still have to pass the ordinances. Nothing gets changed without us doing that.
And that-
But that they would alert us of those changes coming from the state. That's what I was under the impression. They did do it when they first intook all of our ordinances, which some were on like parchment paper. They did look at them and see how they aligned with the state, and they let us know. And that's what I was telling you, we had months long of multiple meetings. I remember me and David and other folks were in that meeting, going through all those recommendations that they gave us. So
You're right.
that is a service they can provide. Evidently, that's not what we agreed to on a regular basis. It happened one time, and it's not on a standard
Okay.
basis.
Yeah.
So-
But regardless, that company no
No,
longer
you're-
exists, it expired, and
It's
I've
not
already,
an option, is what
yeah,
you're
I've already,
saying.
I mean, it's not an ongoing contract, it's done, that's, I've talked to Mr. Franklin, they are willing to come out and visit with us, he does have that history, he can talk to you more about what could be, what should have been, what we can do going forward. This just keeps us live for our website and to have that online
Legal
ability to look
requirement.
at.
Yeah.
Legal requirement.
Yeah, well, to have our ordinances online, so.
There are web hosting
They are-
services, what you're telling me.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, there's other services I've seen that but, I mean, if this is what's live and it's up for contract renewal, why are we, this isn't, not to sound condescending, but isn't this an administrative decision, right?
There's actually a bunch of questions with Robert as far as what we were actually paying for, so we wanna make sure that we're getting what we're
Getting
paying
what we
for.
paid.
So I wanted to make sure
Should we
that
expect-
this was our new online
You answered
agreement,
for me.
and anything else we'd have to negotiate once we decided what
I think
services we
something
needed or
needs to be
wanted, so.
Yeah, and I would argue it's more than just a web hosting service, because they have a lot of back-end software as a service type things they do for cross-referencing and be able to store the images of different things for us that you can present. And so it's more of it's tailored to towns. It's a indexing, referencing service that's tailored to towns. So it's not just a website, but
Okay,
there's more
and
to it.
again, I come back to the fact that they will not update any legislation. We must inform them of updated legislation.
Yeah, they
We
can.
have to stay abreast
That
of
makes sense.
state legislation.
Because we did the thought.
Yes, to develop in our own city so that we can tell them to do it.
Unless we ask them to help us with keeping the thumb on the pulse of those changes.
And
Isn't
that's
that
what
what
we'll
our
do.
attorney's for?
I think that they can do it for cheaper than he can.
Yeah.
But again, that's the services, we need to find out from them what they offer, what they can do, what they can
That would
promise
be
or
one of
can't
their à la
have.
carte services.
So,
It's not on here.
Yeah.
are we moving forward with continuing with them for the online
Yes.
service?
What's the deadline to decide that?
Now, because I've got the check sitting on my desk,
Yeah.
Okay,
because they've already sent us the bill. I think, when I brought this to their attention, I think they were a little embarrassed that we didn't have the new agreement, so.
I think with this one, since it is a contract, we probably should motion and act on this, right?
Not unless you've got another option right now to keep the ordinances up on our website and this is,
Yeah, we kinda
I'll
stuck
host them.
with it, right?
well, okay.
So, yeah. You know of any other
I'm just saying, I think with this particular line item, we do have to have a vote because it's an agreement that we're signing.
Right, contract.
I agree.
So I'll motion that we sign the agreement with Franklin that's on, action for 5.7 on our agenda.
It's not Franklin. it's-
I'll correct that general code.
Yeah. Agreed.
And I'll second that motion.
All in favor?
Yeah.
5A, Rita?
I'm sorry, before we move on, and when we're talking to them, can we find out some of the à la carte services where?
They're gonna actually, when I talked to him, he was, we have a representative, but he actually volunteered to come to the town, to a meeting and go over that. I need to find out
Yes.
what that needs to be, if that needs to be a day meeting or an early afternoon meeting or evening or what. So, we have a representative with them, but like I said, he knows
Okay.
all the history.
Okay, the answer is yes. And then going forward, if you have questions,
No.
no, you can bring it up before we go to a
Motion.
motion. 5A, discuss, consider act on option to purchase 30,000 square foot commercial corner at northeast corner of Old Parker and Country Club.
This is a section of land between Sonic and Country Club Drive, correct?
Yeah.
This is where the lift station line goes through, correct?
Yes,
Okay.
there is a line there.
But it's not through the right center of it, it's like on one edge.
It's on one edge of it.
Closer to
Does that,
1378?
does that make us responsible for that line? Okay.
It does?
So,
No.
Okay.
first off, let me just say, this was platted as one lot. I'm not sure what happened when they platted this property. This was platted as one lot. The acreage there is 2.174 acres.
For the whole lot?
For the whole lot. There's a small dotted line there. Our ordinance currently says for a commercial piece of property, you must have 2 acres to develop. This was 2.174 acres. However, where you see that dotted line,
The carved out.
the ownership changes there. I'm not sure why that was not ever platted into lots.
Is that small house back there?
No.
No,
This is this front's country club.
it's just empty lot.
So we're discussing
Okay.
this without having a price in mind?
He wants 250,000.
For 2 and how much?
No,
acre?
no, just you see that highlighted,
Just a
Very-
highlighted area?
just the highlighted area is what's up for sale. And
It's 30,000 square feet.
And the rest of lot 1 is not?
that's Sonic.
But we couldn't repurchase it if it hasn't been re-plotted.
Yeah.
It'd have to be replaced. Not only that, there's a 30-foot area there where the existing septic is.
Yeah.
If they were ever to tie into, if Sonic, which I don't understand how that got,
Passed?
how that happened back when it did, because the septic is an accessory use, then if they replatted this, it'd be accessory use on a separate section of
Separate
property that you
property.
can't do. Like I said, there's all kinds of problems there that I see with that.
So, just to be clear, LeAnn, the carve out is this section between Sonic?
It's this.
Right here, yeah. And that's where the septic is, right?
Yeah, the septic's
That's what I
right in there.
So that would carve out the city basically a notch. Yeah, okay,
And as you can see, North Texas Municipal Water District
yeah.
has lines through there. North Texas, if you see at the bottom, North
Yeah,
Texas
it's just-
Municipal
it's a-
Water District, they have very specific notes that go on their plats with regard to easement restrictions for construction of permanent things over
It's a new use.
and how close, so.
How did this proposal come up?
Basically,
They reached out?
The real estate agent, they've been trying to sell this now for quite a while, and, he just put it out to the state, not the state, to the city. Would this be any interest for you all for like, putting your sign in, that kind of thing? I'm like, well, what's the price? And of Of course, he said 250,000. Dryden asked a good question, would they consider donating it? Like, well, so I asked them, there was a big old no.
Right,
So-
well, we
We'd
could
still
try
be-
to sell it for years and nothing's come up and you wanna ask.
Oh,
for it.
because they're in
No.
violation of other things, I
Right.
mean, with
Right.
other
But-
entities.
So,
I mean, nobody wants to buy it, you know,
Right.
it's a pig.
So why would we want to be liable? Nope. So I'm gonna make a motion that we're not gonna move forward with purchasing the property.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
5.9, discuss, consider act on standard items to occur on regular meeting agenda.
I'm not sure what that means, but.
Yeah.
Consent.
Go back up to define, that's it. So, actually, standard items would be like citizen comments, approval of the minutes and expenses, and then our regular agenda. Is there something else that you all would like to see on the agenda?
Situational report, that'd be nice, easy, anything that we pass that's supposed to have, that should have updates, or that's gonna be an ongoing project that's gonna last more than.
A project status report.
Yeah,
It's
you
just a
could-
sit rep, it's just nice, easy, and
Take our previous meeting, say, this is what we said we were going to do, and this is what we've done, or it's in the works, or
right, even if there's no update,
it's not gonna work.
no
Yeah,
update. Yeah.
Okay, with that,
I agree. Let's get those done.
It's just, it's an easy way for us to go back and say, hey, we didn't forget about something, and then once it's completed, we can just take it off the sit. And I don't think we need to make a motion to take it off, it just,
It falls off.
It falls
It's just the way it is.
so like the approval of last meeting or special council.
Yes.
Like that.
It would be similar to that.
sorry, one more time?
Well, on here.
We approved the minutes of the
we
previous
approved the
meeting.
minutes of last meeting. You just want that for a regular meeting.
This would be a consent agenda item.
Pretty
Is that-
much.
Is that what we're talking
You want
about?
any more
Any
written?
more detailed? No, it wouldn't have to be, it could be just high level, that's all it is, it's just, it's a constant reminder, right, it's a post-it note, that's what it is.
Okay.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah, could that, so my question about consent agenda, could that be a consent agenda item?
Good.
What's the legal term for the consent agenda?
Consent agenda item. Consent agenda.
That's it, what you said.
Anything else on that?
You did mention public announcements, if there was any public announcements,
Yeah.
I mean, you could use that, I guess, for any activity going on in the town, I guess,
Council, state.
county, area.
So like, you know, like Jim Oldham's retiring, we could,
Who?
Jim Oldham, Mayor of Lucas. What's that? We could make that announcement. We wouldn't act upon it or anything like that, it's just an announcement.
So would that be before roll call, where would you put that?
At the end,
Okay.
or adjournment.
Oh, if it was a general announcement to the city, then you want to do it before public comments or after public comment? So the
You guys-
public who stays will
For
know.
you guys to decide
Okay.
where you wanna put it. We could put it there, and you guys could always come in, and make a motion to move it up.
All right. Public announcements sound fun.
Good? Okay.
Before or after?
I don't care.
We'll decide later.
As long as you do it.
No, we're not doing that anymore.
All right, if you have any ideas, shoot it to LeAnn, get it on there. Item 6, adjournment. Have a motion to adjourn,
I motion we adjourn.
second?
I'll second.
I didn't see what you were doing. All in favor?
Aye.
We're adjourned.
Who's my first?
I was.
Who's my second?
I tried to second it. I think I did.
Robert, did you?